So dear students, today our topic is blood and its compositions. So before going to the blood, first we can understand regarding the how the body fluid can be distributed. Okay, so as you know, so our body is made up of the fluid and solid. So about two-thirds of our body weight, so that is the made up of the fluid. And in average, the male will be having 60 to 65% of fluid, and remaining will be the solid substances like organs, electrolytes like that, and cells. And an average in the female, so that should be 50 to 55%. So like that, so our body is made up of two-thirds that of with the fluid. So that fluid can be distributed throughout the body. So here we are explained. So with the help of the and average weight of the adult man having 70 kg. If any person, if having a 70 kg body weight means, so that person should be having the around 42 liters. But in the case of women's, so an average weight of the women in the worldwide is 55 kg. So that woman will be having the 30.25 liter as a body fluid from the total body weight. But regarding the adult man having the 70 kg and average body weight, so that person will be having the 60% of body weight as a body fluids. So that body fluids is distributed in the two part. One is the intracellular fluid compartment, also known as the intracellular fluid, and another one is a extracellular fluid compartment, that is known as the ECF, that is extracellular fluid. So like that, the 42 liters of the body fluid, so that were distributed into the two parts, that is the ICF, that is about 28 liters, and ECF about 40 liters. So these 14 liters once again distributed into intravascular fluid. So that fluid, it is present inside the blood vessels. So that fluid was known as the plasma or intravascular fluid, and remaining fluid, that is around 11 liter, so they are present in the extravascular fluid, that is outside the blood vessels. So inside the blood vessels we having around 3 liter plasma. Actually our blood volume is an average 5 liters. So among 5 liter, 3 liters should be the plasma or body fluids. So remaining are the formed elements and proteins, enzymes. So they are around about 2 liters. But 3 liters, that is the plasma or intravascular fluid. And about 11 liters of the body fluids from the extracellular fluid, so that was present in the outside the cells, okay, and outside the blood vessels. Okay, so that extra fluids once again present in the fluid in the epithelial layers as well as cerebrospinal fluid. It is found in the brain cavities as well as in the spinal cord. It can neurosis the spinal cord, and as well as it can neurosis the brain, or it can protect the brain from chemical, physical as well as the mechanical injury. And also some fluid, extravascular fluid, it was found in the eye, that is intraocular fluid, and as well as in the ear, and some fluid they are present in the around the heart as a pericardial fluid. Then some they are present in the abdominal cavity, that is the peritoneal fluid. So that peritoneal fluid play important role in the to supply the or to avoid the dehydration. So when the body or when the intravascular fluid will be the less, so on that time from the peritoneal cavity, so that can supply the water or supply the water to the plasma. So that's why the peritoneal fluid or those fluids they are present in the abdominal cavity. It is helpful for to maintain the blood volumes, and as well as some fluid, so they are present in the joints. So that fluid was known as the synovial fluid. So like that, so about 42 liters of our body fluid is distributed in the throughout the body. Some they are present inside a cell, some they are present in the outside the cells. Regarding outside, about 3 liter they are present in inside the blood vessels. Remaining should be present in the outside the cell are outside the blood vessels and in the various cavities and in the various organs. So their major function is, so they can nourish the organs or they can protect the organ from the physical, chemical, mechanical injury. But our topic is intravascular fluid, that is blood. Okay, so those fluid, so that was present inside the blood vessel. So that fluid was known as the intravascular fluid or plasma. Okay, that is about 3 liters. And today our topic is the blood and its components. So regarding the blood, so already you know, so the blood is a liquid connective tissue. So that is the one type of the connective tissue. So that was known as the liquid connective tissue. And the blood is also known as the fluid of life. Okay, so blood is also considered or also known as the fluid of life because so our life, our human life is mainly depending upon the oxygen. So without oxygen, the persons cannot be survived. Or lack of oxygen in the body or deficiency of the oxygen in the body, the death is occurs. For example, the mortality in the case of the COVID-19. So in the COVID-19 also, due to bronchospasm or excess of bronchial secretion, so where inspiration, expiration does not occur properly. So due to that, our body do not got the oxygen and do not release the carbon dioxide. So that carbon dioxide, it was accumulated inside the blood vessels instead of oxygen. So due to accumulations of carbon dioxide, so that is the organ will be the necrosis or death will be occurs. So organ will be death means the person is also died due to deficiency of oxygen. So that oxygen was supplied by the or transported by the blood only. So blood consists of mainly RBC and RBCs mainly consist of the hemoglobin. So that hemoglobin, it can transport, that is a life gas, from lungs to the different parts of the body towards the cells. So that's why the blood is also known as the fluid of life. Without blood, the life was finished. So due to that only one reason, so the blood is known as the fluid of life. And also the blood, it can remove the carbon dioxide and avoid the necrosis or the death of the organs. Because so due to accumulations of carbon dioxide, the pH is altered. Okay, the blood pH was altered. So due to alterations of blood pH, the death of the tissue or death of the organ is occurred. That was known as the necrosis. Okay, so that's why so blood play important role in the supply of oxygen and removal of carbon dioxide. So due to that reason, it was known as the fluid of life. And blood is also known as the fluid of growth. For growth of body, it's mainly required the internal secretions like endocrine hormones. Okay, so that endocrine hormones secreted from the different endocrine gland and it required for the different part of the body. So that was circulated from one organ to the another organ or from one gland to the another gland or another part of the body or organs. So with the help of the blood. So that's why the blood, it's play important role in the regulations of the growth of the body or growth of the human body by continuously supplying the endocrine hormones or continuously by supplying the desired proteins, amino acids and as well as the glucose and as well as the fats. So that's why the blood is also known as the fluid of the growth. Okay, so another synonym of the blood is the blood is also known as the fluid of health. So blood play important role in that to maintain the good health because we are respirating, we are wandering or we are walking in the polluted area or hazardous industries or daily we are living with the microorganisms in the they are freely available in the environment. So those microorganisms easily enter in our body or the food may be contaminated. So water may be contaminated through food, through water. Certain microorganisms specially enter your body. For good example, E. coli. Okay, it is frequently available in our environment. Even especially it is that is present in the soil. Okay, if any food so contaminated with the ground soil, so there is a chance of entry of the E. coli, or there is a chance of entry of the worms. Okay, so those E. coli, so they are mainly causes the inflammations, mainly causes the food poisoning, many other disorders. But so due to presence of blood or blood, it consists of the various components like WBC, like leukotrienes, cytokines. So these are the component or cells, so they are present in the blood, and these components are cells, especially T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. So they having the capability to kill the microorganisms. So they easily enter through air, through respirations, or through food, or through water. But blood having the immune cells, and those cells, so they having the capability to kill the microorganisms. So whenever the blood is containing rich of those WBC or immune component, up to that time we are free from the infections. If those component is decreases or blood composition is abnormal, then only we are suffering from the disease. So that's why the blood play important role in the, to maintain and promote the human health. So due to that reason, the blood is also known as the fluid of health. Okay, so due to presence of WBC, so they are remove the microorganisms, so they are entering our body. Okay, so regarding the properties, the first property of blood is regarding the color. Actually, the color of the blood is the red. Okay, but so whatever the blood when you are traveling through the arteries, okay, so where the blood is look like a scarlet red, because so due to rich of oxygen in the arterial blood or oxygenated blood, so where the blood is look like a scarlet red. Okay, so after it reaches to the systemic capillary, that is a cells are different parts of the body, so where it can use the oxygen and take the carbon dioxide, then it can return to the venous. So whatever the blood is traveling in the venules or venules, so where it look like a purple blue, because so it will reach of carbon dioxide in the venous blood or deoxygenated blood, so that can travel in the venules and the veins. So due to presence of carbon dioxide in the blood, it is look like a purple blue. But in the arterial blood, it can containing the oxygenated blood or oxygen rich blood. So due to presence of oxygen, it is look like a scarlet red, but overall color of the blood is a red in color. So regarding the volume, so an and average the blood volume in the human body is about 5 liters, but it is varies from male to the female. So female having an and average 5 liters, and female will be having the an and average, that is 4.5 liters, due to physiological changes of the body. So due to more body fluids or more, there is more body waters, or due to abnormal menstrual cycle or hormonal imbalances, the female will be having the less blood as compared to the male. So female having an and average 4.5 liter. Okay, and male, so that should the male should be containing an average of the blood volume is 5 liters. So regarding the pH, so the pH of blood is slightly alkaline, that is about 7.4. It is the important. If pH is increases means that if it is more than 7.4, so that condition was known as the alkaline pH in the blood. If the pH is exceed that, it is caused one condition, so that condition was known as the respiratory alkalosis. So due to respiratory alkalosis, the organ permanently die. Okay, so that was occurs due to accumulations of the carbon dioxide. If the pH less than 7.4, so that condition was known as the respiratory acidosis. So due that is less than 7.4, so that condition was known as respiratory acidosis. And in the respiratory acidosis, various metabolic reactions occurs, so those can responsible for to cause of the diabetes mellitus, cancer, like that. So that's why the pH of the blood is most important, and pH of the blood is mainly depending upon the intake of proteins. If any variation in the protein or any variations in the food materials, so those are taken daily eating purpose, so that can alter the pH of our blood also. So that's why, so your blood functions or pH of blood is also depending upon the kind of food you are taken daily. So regarding the specific gravity, the specific gravity of the blood is 1.05 to 1.061. And regarding viscosity, the blood will be having the 5 times greater than water. So the blood viscosity, it should be the 5 times greater than the water. Okay, so this viscosity is important regarding the normalizations of the blood pressure. If any viscosity of the blood is increases means the pressure on the heart is increases. So due to that the person was suffering from the high blood pressure. If viscosity is decreases means the infiltration is occurs because the blood vessel is like a cloth. So they easily infiltrate the waters. Water easily going inside the blood vessel and outside the blood vessel by crossing the membranes because it is a mesh-like structures. But due to viscosity of the blood, it is 5 times greater than water. So that's why water easily crosses the membranes of the capillaries or membranes of the blood vessels like arteries and veins. But the blood components or blood cannot be crosses because it is having the 5 times greater than the water, that is regarding the viscosity. So due to that, so there is no internal hemorrhages occurs. If any viscosity can drop down, then automatically internal hemorrhages occurs. If it is occurs in the brain means the brain can be died. So due to failure of brain, the organ function is also fail, the death is occurs. And this viscosity of the blood is mainly depending upon the RBC. So as the RBC number increases, the viscosity is also increases. So as the RBC number is decreases, the viscosity is also decreases. Okay, if it is normal means the viscosity is normal and the blood function is normal. If the RBC number increases, then viscosity is increases. So due to increase the viscosity, the person was suffering from the elevated blood pressure or hypertension. So that's why, so during the diagnosis of hypertension, you also monitor that is the average number of RBC in the blood. If the RBC number is increases means then that increased blood pressure is due to increase the blood component, that is the RBC. And same viscosity of blood is also depending upon the whatever the proteins, so they are present in the blood. If the protein number increases means the viscosity is also increases, then the person was suffering from the hypertension. If the protein number is decreases means in the blood mean the viscosity is decreases. So decreased viscosity is responsible for the internal bleeding or internal hemorrhage. So due to internal hemorrhage, so that particular part of the organ is died. Okay, so that's why, so RBC and protein in the blood is play important role. So regarding the normal, maintain the normal function physiology of the blood. If any varies, then definitely the person either suffering from the internal hemorrhage or hypertensions. So regarding the compositions of blood, so blood, it mainly consists of the plasma, that is about 55%, and formed elements are simple known as the blood cells remaining 45%. Okay, so the formed elements are blood cells like erythrocytes, also known as the RBC, and leukocytes, that is the WBC, and thrombocytes, that is the platelets. Okay, if and when you are keeping the blood in the any test tube means it can form the 3 layers. The upper layer, after centrifuge of the blood or keeping some longer time, after waiting the longer time, so upper layer is consist of the plasma. So that is the total plasma compositions in the blood is 55%, and middle one buffy coat or milky coat is formed. So that is due to presence of leukocytes and platelets. Its strength is less than 1%. And in the bottom part, then certain sedimentations, acetylations of blood cells is occurs. So those are the erythrocyte. Its strength is a 45%. So like that, the blood is having mainly two components. One is the plasma, 55%, and remaining is the blood cells, are also known as the formed elements. So those are the 45%. So formed elements, once again, so they are leukocytes, also known as the WBC, platelets, and also known as the thrombocytes, and erythrocytes is also known as the RBC. And the RBC strength is about 45%. So that's why the viscosity of the blood is mainly depending upon the our RBC or erythrocytes. So regarding the plasma, it consists of the solids and as well as that is 7 to 8% and water 92 to 93% and gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, so they are present in the plasma. And solids once again, so they are subcategorized into two parts, that is inorganic substance like sodium, calcium, magnesium, bicarbonate, chloride, phosphate, iron, ferrous and as well as the copper. Okay, and organic substance, so they are present in the plasma like proteins, that is albumin, globulin, then fibrinogens. Okay, so those albumin, globulin, so they are targets for the drugs or targets for the hormones or targets for the certain enzymes. Okay, the hormones, so they are transported from one gland to the another part of the body or organ by binding with the plasma protein. So those are globulins. So that's why the protein content in the blood is also reflect on the health. If the protein content is less means, so those hormones not transported very well, then the growth of the body is decreases. So that's why, so nowadays the doctor are more concentrate on the treatment or to avoid of the kuposhan or simple anemia. Okay, the central government or state government, they launching various program to enhance the hemoglobin content or RBC, because hemoglobin is in proteins. Deficiency of that protein, the growth of the body is decreases, because hemoglobin is required for transport of oxygen and remaining proteins like albumin, globulin, so they are required for the target for drugs and target for the various hormones and enzymes. And fibrinogen, it is required for the formations of the clot, and clot is required for to avoid the internal hemorrhage and as well as the bleeding. So that's why the early substance like proteins in the blood, it's play important roles. And regarding amino acids, so all type of amino acids, so they are found in the blood, and these amino acids are essential for the formations of the new proteins. And the blood is also consist of the carbohydrates like glucose, fructose and as well as the galactose. And these carbohydrates, so they are the source for the ATP or energy. So each cell, they consist of mitochondria. So mitochondria, it can utilize the glucose and involved in the productions of ATP. So that ATP is required for the synthesis of hormones, synthesis of enzyme and synthesis of the protein, and these all are required for the development and growth of the body. Okay, so that was supplied by the blood from one place to the another place. And blood is also consist of the fats like triglycerides, cholesterol and phospholipids. And cholesterol, it is required for the synthesis of the steroidal hormones. Okay, like glucocorticoids, mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids, so they are involved in the regulations of glucose level, and mineralocorticoids, so they are involved in the regulations of the minerals in the body like sodium, calcium, magnesium. And phospholipids, it is required for the formations of the plasma membranes and as well as triglyceride, it is required. Okay, repairing of the plasma membrane of cell or formations of new plasma membranes, or it is helpful for the dividing of the cells. And it is also consist of the various hormones. So blood is also consist of various hormones like insulin, then T3, T4, growth hormones, prolactins, many hormones are there. So they are also present in the blood. So they are synthesized in the particular type of organ, and with the help of the blood, so they are transported from one place to the another place where those hormones, they can modify the or to regulate the functions of that particular organ, and directly indirectly, so they are involved in the growth and development of the body. So that is also the one of the major role of the blood by supplying the hormones from one place to the another place. And blood is also consist of the enzymes like amylase, it is required for the metabolism of polysaccharides, and carbonic anhydrase, it is required for the removal of excess of H ion, and also that carbonic anhydrase play important role in the formations of bicarbonate, and bicarbonate is required for to maintain the pH of the blood. Okay, and as well as it consists of other enzyme like acid phosphatase and as well as alkaline phosphatase. So those are involved in the mineralizations of the bone or to enhance the depositions of the calcium from blood into the bones, and many other enzymes, so they are found in the blood. And blood is also consist of the non-protein nitrogenous substance as a waste material like ammonia, creatine, urea, uric acid, xanthine, and as well as the hypoxanthine. So these are the waste material. There is a metabolism of amino acids or carbohydrates, fats. So these are produced. So these are also found in the blood and they are excreted from one place to the towards the kidney or towards the lungs for or even the GIT for the excretion purpose. So those are removed with the help of the blood only. And blood is also consist of the antibodies like IgM and IgE. So these are the natural antibodies. So they are found in our blood. Also, other antibodies are IgA and IgD. Among most important, that is IgM and IgE. So they are easily found in our blood. So IgE, it is involved in the allergic reactions and hypersensitivity reactions. And IgMe, it is more found or its strength was increased in the blood. It is found in the blood due to any viral infections or bacterial infections. So nowadays, so in the COVID-19 rapid test, so the doctor, they can target the IgM. Okay, if the IgM is present, means it gives the certain signals or color was changes in the kit. So then the doctor they confirm. So this patient was suffering from the infections, not a COVID-19. You should be remember because so this IgM is increases even the entry of the bacteria or even the entry of the parasites or entry of the fungi or also the entry of the viruses or even if you having the allergy, if any inflammation occurs in your body, so due to overnight you are not got the good sleep from up to 8 days, so automatically the internal heat was increased. So due to increase the internal heat in the body, it can cause the inflammation in the blood. So due to inflammation, IgM is so they are present in the blood and they are play important role in the defense mechanism. So this is the normal compositions of the blood. If any alteration, then it can indicate the various disorder or in the various diseases or metabolic disorder. So these components may be varied. So with the help of these components or enzyme, so doctor they can diagnose the diseases or the diagnosis the disorders. Okay, certain conditions, for example, that is the monitoring of the concentrations of sodium. It can use the regarding the idea about the hypertension. Okay, if sodium level is normal, still the blood pressure increases means so that blood pressure increases due to any other reasons not related to the excess intake of salt or excess intake of the eating salt. Okay, then any other reasons, maybe problem in the kidney, maybe problem in the others. If the kidney problem means certain enzymes in the blood that was elevated, so they are targeted. SGPT, SGOT or many other enzymes are there. Or even they can target the creatinine level in the urine. If it was more than normal means, there is a more than 1.2 gram per deciliter means per day means it indicates nephrotoxicity. So due to nephrotoxicity, the blood pressure was increases. So that's why you should be remember the normal compositions and strength of the blood. So that was in the future. So that was helpful for the diagnosis of the disease or to find out the exact risk factor for you and also what drug or how the drug can act or also you can know the mechanism of the drug because if any drug is there, so that drug was used for treatment any other disease. Okay, from the clinical practice or community practice you can got where so use of that drug the sodium level was decreases in the blood or the person was suffering from the hyponatremia, that is the deficiency of the sodium in the blood. Then you can got one clue. What clue? So this drug somewhere it treat that disease, that is disease A, but also it can decrease the sodium level. Okay, it indicates this drug may be helpful for the treatment of the hypertension. Okay, if the patient having hypertension and along with disease A, then you can use that drug because that drug treats disease A and as well as so that drug can decrease the sodium level and in the treatment of hypertension so there is need to decrease the sodium level. So that's why you can got the correct drug and correct therapy for management of the both condition, that is disease A as well as hypertension in simultaneously with the help of the single drugs. So that's why, so knowledge about the normal compositions of blood and abnormal composition of blood, it was helpful for to find out the risk factor or to give the correct therapy. So next we learn about the functions of blood. So blood, it is having the nutritive functions. It means the blood can absorb the various nutrients like glucose, amino acids, lipid, vitamins from the GIT, that is gastrointestinal tract, and supply to the different part of the body. So that's why the blood play important role in the transport of the essential micronutrition. So they are required for the growth of the body. And the blood, it is also having the respiratory functions, because the blood is involved in the transport of oxygen from lungs to the different metabolic cells or different organs, and as well as it is involved in the excretory function, the removal of waste material like ammonia, urea, creatinine, uric acid, xanthine, hypoxanthine, along with the carbon dioxide from parts of the organ towards the kidney and as well as towards the lungs. So that's why the blood, it is having the respiratory function as well as the excretory functions. And blood is also play important role in the transport of the hormones. For example, growth hormone, it is secreted or synthesized in the pituitary gland. So that was present in the our brain. But so that growth hormone is required for bone, for growth of the bone. Without growth hormone, the bone cannot be developed or their height cannot be increases. So that growth hormone reaches towards the skeleton or bone, so with the help of the blood. So that's why the blood play important role in the transport mechanism or transport system for transport of the hormones as well as the enzymes. And blood is also play important role regulation or balance of body water, because so 90 to 93% of water they are present in the blood. Okay, so that's why it is involved in the regulations of body water, and as well as the blood is involved in the regulations and balance of body temperature, because so where the temperature increases, so when the blood visits to that place, it can absorb the excess of temperature and it can redistribute throughout the body. So like that, in the particular organ, if the temperature is increased, means that can be redistributed through the body. So like that, the blood play important role in the regulations of the body temperature. Or also blood insists to the skin for sweating. Okay, during increase the blood pressure, the blood vessels in the skin they are dilated, where the more blood can be accumulated, then only the sweating is occurs, and sweating is responsible for to decrease the body temperature. So that's why blood is also play important role in the regulations of the body temperature. Even it's play important role in the acid base balance, because so the blood it can contain the rich of bicarbonate, so due to presence of the carbonic anhydrase enzyme. So this carbonic anhydrase enzyme is responsible for formations of bicarbonate, and this bicarbonate it can react with the sodium, it can form the sodium bicarbonate, and sodium bicarbonate in the blood play important role in the acid base balance. So that's why the blood play important role in the acid base balance. Even the blood play important role in the regulations of the blood pressure. Okay, then as well as it is acts as a storage for various essential substances like calcium, phosphorus, sodium. So they are frequently found in the blood, and also certain micronutrients like glucose, cholesterol, or many other substances. So they are amino acids, so they are present in the blood. So that's why it acts as a storage for the micronutrition as well as the essential substance. And blood is also involved in the defense mechanism, because consists of the neutrophils, monocytes, so they are involved in the phagocytes. Blood is also containing lymphocytes like T lymphocytes, B lymphocytes, so those are also involved in the development of immunity against the disorders. Then blood is also containing the eosinophil, so this eosinophil is involved in the detoxification. These all are the type of the WBCs, so they are involved in the to kill the microorganisms, the waste materials.